Abrams has been positioned all morning long. Stephanie, battering rains, the wind coming in. It's just a prolonged thing. That's the main thing with this system right now. It's just lasting forever.
Forever. I mean, I literally took a screen grab of the radar at 6 this morning, at 8 this morning, in those 2 hours, and then I put them in PicStitch, which is an app that you can kind of make a collage out of, and I Twittered and Facebooked it. You literally can't tell a difference. It looks like it's in the same exact spot. We've been getting nailed here in New Orleans. Now, the good news is, as you look down the street, not a lot of debris behind me. You can look down the street here. You can see there's not any flooding going on, though we know the pumps are working. This area is not well known for flooding, so it's pretty typical that we don't have any happening. Now, everyone has been boarded up. They've been ready for this. The whole city is shut down. You don't see too many people roaming about or driving about necessarily here, except for a couple cars. But across the way here, I just want to show you the Times-Picayune. They didn't deliver the paper this morning because this is from yesterday morning. It says, many will weather hurricane at home. And as you can see, that's the paper from yesterday, so they certainly didn't deliver. And down the street here, let me show you what's going on. We do have this store, the first time I've seen this happen, where they actually use plastic bags, looks like under the door on either side, trying to tape those down. Held up pretty well, I gotta say. They taped over the mail slot, which was a good idea. They used tape on the wall. The window, not a great idea. It doesn't really help all that much. And there's, you're supposed to go tapeless. And we do have windows that are boarded up down here. So everyone was ready, and we do have debris down here, a few signs from the wind. But Carl, because this thing is not moving, I feel like we're going to see more debris, because when you have the winds going on and on and on and on, that's when it really starts to rip things off. At least that's my experience from the past.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right about that. It's going to be sort of the duration of this thing that has great impact, and I want to show you how little it has moved. Stephanie just talked about this. Over the last 6 hours, you can see just a very slow movement off to the north and to the west, and there really has been no discernible change in the intensity of the system from a radar standpoint. It is down just a bit in intensity. As of the last advisory, a 75-mile-an-hour storm, and the pressure is up slightly, but still a very serious, very large and powerful storm. And don't let anyone ever tell you it's only a Category 1 hurricane. This is just about as bad as Category 1s get because of the size and slow movement. Look at that, from the center of the storm out to the outermost bands to the east, 180 miles. So you've got all that weather to get through as this thing plods along to the north, still producing heavy rain. The flash flood warning's no longer in effect there in New Orleans, but we've got a lot of bending that has yet to come through here, and you see this very strong band still driving up there into Mississippi, where we still have very serious water level rises on the order of 8 and in some cases 9 feet. Farther northward, I believe this tornado warning has expired, but we've seen a series of them across the southern part of Mississippi. That's going to be an ongoing threat today. And here's a look at the current winds, still very strong, gusting to 55 in Biloxi. Now 53 is the gust in New Orleans, and 68 in South Marsh, well to the west of that center of circulation. There's the broader picture, quite a bit of wind all the way around in the south, and here's a look at the model forecast, and you see how that storm very slowly moves off to the north and west, so an awful lot of wet weather along with this. We want to get out now to Paul Goodlow. He is in Gulfport, and Paul, those beaches getting quite a workout from this storm.
Yeah, they certainly, Carl. Again, this is basically high tide here, and the waters here from the Gulf of Mexico and the Mississippi Sound are basically coming up to the wall here, and we're seeing a lot of debris. There are a lot of stairs from the seawall to the beach, but the surf really ripped a lot of those apart. I see a lot of wood still floating here up. Pulled this one out a little while ago. We're talking like a 9-foot board here, pretty substantial. Been thrown around like a toothpick. Also, by the way, the last days we showed you the hurricane warning flags, which were flying on the Harbor House. In fact, take a look at them now. They're basically ripped to shreds because we've been dealing with a wind gust well over 50 miles an hour at times here, close to 55 right here off the Gulf. Sustained winds over the last several hours have been between 35 and 40. But the problem with this, Heather, is, again, Isaac is moving so slow. The strongest winds coming off the water and still slamming this area, and it's still raining sideways. So we are still just in the beginning stages of dealing with the approach and the landfall of Hurricane Isaac here in coastal Mississippi. Heather?
All right, Paul, thank you so much. And you know, what a difference from yesterday when Paul was out there so quiet. But we continue to monitor not only these areas of rain and concerns for flooding, but notice here, we do have a tornado watch. Now, this goes until 4 o'clock Central Time. And remember, when it comes to tornadoes that come with hurricanes, oftentimes what you find is that they are rain wraps. So they're hard to see, they're hard to hear. They do spin up quickly, too, but fortunately, they often fade quickly as well. We do have one warning here for George, also Greene and Perry counties. So this, as you can see, is just off to the east and a little bit to the south of Hattiesburg. So we'll be monitoring that. Also, we're watching some of these areas where we are seeing some flooding, or it's very close to that. And you can see it's really some of the same areas that we're monitoring for the storms. And a lot of times these storms get these bands, and they dump so much rain through here. Also, when you get those bands of thunderstorms, they transfer some of that wind down, so it's going to be very blustery and windy. So lots of concerns, certainly in New Orleans, and we're going to have a lot more on this, of course, coming up.